Toyota Corolla Levin and Sprinter Trueno. T27 Series, 1972 to 1974. The first Corolla Levin and Sprinter Trueno of early 1972 were the high-performance models of Corolla and Sprinter two-door fastback coupe. They were powered by the 1.6-liter engines mated to a 5-speed manual transmission, borrowed from the Toyota Celica 1600 GT. The inspiration came from Toyota manager Jeizuke Kubo, who wanted to offer something similar to the Alfa Romeo Giulia Jr. The Sprinter Trueno J had the 2TBOV with twin, downdraft carburetors. The other Levins and Truenos used the 2TG, high compression, or 2TGR, low compression, DOC engines with two double Venturi side draft Mikuni carburetors. Vehicles installed with the 1.6-liter engine obligated Japanese owners to pay more annual road tax. T37, T47, T51, T55, T61, T62 and T65 Series 1974 to 1979. With the second generation of the Levin and Trueno Sprinter, there was a clearer difference between the two through design. Though based on the same shell, the whole nose design differed totally, with the Levin, T51 and T55, having an aggressive forward rake design, while the Trueno Sprinter, T47, T61, T62 and T65, had a sleeker and more curved design. In contrast to its predecessor, this second generation of Levin and Trueno Sprinter was offered with a much wider array of engines and trim. The Trueno LT grade used the plain 2T engine, and the Trueno ST grade used the twin downdraft carburetors, 2TB engine. The Levin and Trueno GT grades used the 2TG engine, with DOC head from the previous T27 with 86 kilowatts 115 HP from two double Mikuni Solex carburetors, and later with 82 kilowatts 110 HP from the 2TG engine with a Bosch K-Jetronic FE system. AE71/T71/T72/T75 Series 1979 to 1983. Although the sporty Corolla and Sprinter available as two-door sedan, two-door hardtop, three-door coupe, and three-door liftback, the Corolla Levin and Sprinter Trueno were only produced as three-door coupe, T71. Trim levels for the Japanese models were base, S, and GT Apex, all with 2TG engine. In the United States, the Corolla Levin was sold as SR5 with 1.6-liter 4AC engine, AE71, and 1.8-liter 3T engine, T72/75. AE85/86 Series 1983 to 1987. In this generation, the Corolla Levin came with fixed rectangular headlights, which distinguished it from the Sprinter Trueno with retractable headlights. However, the American Corolla SR5 and GTS also had retractable headlights, the same as Japanese Trueno, but with longer bumpers to meet the U.S. federal standards. AE91/92 Series 1987 to 1991. When the AE92 Corolla was introduced in 1987, gone were the previous model's FR, front-engined, rear-wheel drive, layout, and in its replacement was a more conventional FF, front-engined, front-wheel drive, system instead. Also gone were the previous generation's three-door hatchback body style, now only offered with either a two-door coupe, four-door sedan, three-door hatchback, or a five-door liftback body, each with different designations respectively. Similar to the AE86 generation, two different front-end styles was offered. The Trueno model had a much more slanted front fascia with retractable pop-up headlights. The Levin model, on the other hand, had a much more level hood line and lacked pop-ups in replacement of fixed rectangular headlights. Also unique with the coupe was the GTZ trim, which was the highest and fastest trim model for the AE92 at the time. The trim comes equipped with Toyota's supercharged rendition of their 4AG engine. The 4AGs, now capable of producing 165 PS, 163 HP, at 6,400 RPM and 21.4 kilograms and 210 Nm of torque at 4,400 RPM in its final iterations. All cars came with either a 5-speed manual or a 4-speed automatic, and as a factory option, a digital cluster was offered, similar to the one found in the AE86. There were two major changes that happened to the car during its lifespan from 1987 to 1992. The early models, known as the Zenki in Japan, had a much less powerful engine, with the Na version making only 120 PS and 14.5 kilograms of torque, and the supercharged 4AGs making 145 PS and 19.0 kilograms only. Other distinct features on the Zenki included different front bumpers for the Levin front end, having a different design with a small upper grille that extends to both ends of the bumper. In 1989, the model received a minor facelift and changes in engine performance. This later became known as the Kauki generation. Major rework was done to the 4AG, now adopting smaller intake ports compared to the previous design, hence its nickname, small port. Along with a couple of upgrades mainly to the engine internals, the new engine made 20 PS and 0.5 kg more than its previous iteration 145 PS, 15 kg in naturally aspirated form, while its supercharged twin produced 165 PS and 21.4 kg as a result of the change. The minor tweaks also upped the compression ratio from 9.4 to 10.3 natural aspiration, and from 8.0 to 8.9 supercharged. The front bumper now had a shorter upper grille that did not extend to both ends, with two side markers on each corner. For the US market, the AE92 Coupe only came with the Trueno front end, albeit with minor changes, such as a different bumper design to satisfy US regulations. No US market AE92 GTS came with the Japanese market's 4AG's engine, and hence it only came with the original naturally aspirated small-port version of the 4AG, producing 92 kilowatts 123 HP, 125 PS at 7,200 RPM and 15.2 kilograms m 149 Nm of torque at 4,800 RPM, 15 PS less than the Japanese market small-port 4AG. Other notable differences include the use of a MOF sensor on US market engines compared to a MAP sensor on Japanese market engines. AE100/101 Series 1991 to 1995. Alongside the E100 Corolla, the Levin and Trueno underwent a full model change in June 1991. Japanese F1 driver Yukio Katayama was appointed as the image representative for marketing as he was popular in Japan at the time, and a commercial was broadcast in which Katayama runs a Levin on the mine circuit with a catchphrase of Yukio Levins. As a model that was developed at the peak of the bubble era, the latest body, chassis, engine, transmission and safety technology was put into the E100 series. Consequently, the body size increased to the maximum width of the Japanese regular 5 number and became heavier, which made it less attractive as a compact sports model than previous generations. Continuing in the same tradition of offering two styles and names sold in different brand dealers in Japan, Levin and Trueno, the E100 coupes were not exported officially to markets outside Japan, making it exclusively JDM. By the early 90s, the 80s styling trend of using pop-up headlights was starting to make way for rounder, more aerodynamic and luxury styling. The chassis was all new with higher rigidity body that was actually carried over to the next generation, E110. Sharing the same wheelbase as the Corolla sedan, suspension was a retuned front and rear McPherson strut. However, the biggest improvement was in the high-performance 4AG engine. Any parts were redesigned and was equipped with VVT, the predecessor of VVTi, with a discontinuous variable valve timing mechanism on the intake side camshaft, and used 5 valves per cylinder for a total of 20 valves. This was seen as revolutionary at that time, as Yamaha Motors, who typically collaborated to engineer Toyota sport engines, were actively using 5 valves per cylinder in their racing motorcycles. In addition, it was rare in a commercial vehicle of this class to be equipped with individual throttle body in order to increase engine response. Maximum power 160 PS 157 bhp/7,400 RPM. However, the 4AG's Type 170 PS/6,400 RPM with a supercharger has 16 valves as before, with many changes to the engine internals. The grade equivalent to the predecessors was set as SJ. The engine was a 4A Fei type. Super strut suspension, a revolutionary Toyota technology, was standard for GT Apex optional and GTZ standard equipment. The GTZ was equipped with a viscous LSD as standard equipment. The GT Apex, which is not equipped with a super strut suspension, has an electronically controlled suspension TEMS upper and lower G-sensitive type as an option. The 5A Fei type installed in the low-priced grade S reaches 105 picosecond/6,000 RPM. AE110/111 series 1995 to 2000. The BZR variant featured a 6-speed manual transmission, LSD, bigger front rotors, ABS, improved calipers, a taller rear spoiler, and super strut suspension, SS, all of which could be added to the BZG and BZV models as factory options. Additionally, a set of Recaro SR3 confetti pattern seats could be installed as a factory option. This is the last series where the Trueno name was used, as the Toyota Sprinter was discontinued. The Corolla Levin continued to be made.